Most guys think that approaching a woman is all about having the perfect line or looking a certain way. But the truth is, it's not about what you say or even how you look. It's about how you make her feel from the very first moment. If you can trigger the right emotions and curiosity, even a woman who wasn't interested at first will find herself suddenly drawn to you. In this video, we're breaking down the powerful psychological techniques that make this happen. Approach her this way, and she'll be instantly attracted, no matter what. Attraction isn't as straightforward as most people think. A lot of guys assume it's all about looking a certain way, having a lot of money, or saying the right things at the right time. But here's the truth. Attraction is way more about psychology than it is about appearance or words. It's the unseen signals you give off, your energy, your confidence, and even the way you hold back a little that make the real difference. Most men try too hard to convince women to like them without realizing that attraction can't be forced. The more you try to push it, the less interested she becomes. Understanding what really triggers attraction in women is like having a secret code. It's not about being fake or playing games. It's about understanding the hidden dynamics that make women feel drawn to you without them even realizing why. Think about it. When a woman first meets you, she's not just noticing your looks or what you say. She's subconsciously analyzing how you make her feel. Does she sense that you're trying too hard? Or does she get the impression that you're the kind of guy who's used to women being interested in him, even if they aren't yet? It's all about the vibe you give off. If she feels like you're too eager to impress, it sends a signal that you don't usually get attention from women. On the flip side, if you're calm, composed, and a little bit indifferent, it makes her wonder why you're not trying harder. That curiosity is what sparks the first flicker of attraction. This is where a lot of guys mess up. They assume that if a woman doesn't show immediate interest, the game is over. But women are way more complicated than that. A woman's interest often starts with curiosity, not instant attraction. In fact, when a woman seems indifferent at first, it's not necessarily a bad sign. Sometimes it's just a test. She wants to see how you'll react. Will you become needy and start trying to prove yourself? Or will you stay cool, as if you don't need her attention to validate you? Your response in these moments is everything. When she feels like she can't easily figure you out, that's when she starts getting interested. It's also important to understand that women are emotional creatures. They're not attracted to logic or straightforwardness in the same way men are. For a woman to feel drawn to you, she needs to experience a mix of emotions: curiosity, uncertainty, excitement. If you walk up to her and immediately lay out everything about yourself, there's no mystery, no reason for her to think about you after the conversation ends. But if you keep things a bit vague, if you make her wonder what's going on inside your head, she'll find herself replaying your interaction over and over, trying to decode it. That's the real key, planting that seed of curiosity that keeps growing the more she thinks about you. At the core of this is understanding that attraction isn't about impressing her, but making her feel something. Women are drawn to men who can create an emotional impact, even if that emotion is confusion or intrigue at first. When a woman can't quite figure you out, it triggers her natural curiosity and makes her want to know more. That's why the worst thing you can do is be too obvious or predictable. You want to be a bit of a puzzle. Not so complicated that she gets frustrated, but just enough to make her keep coming back for more. When you master this aspect of attraction, it changes everything. You stop worrying about saying the perfect line or looking a certain way, and you start focusing on how to make her feel intrigued, excited, and even a little bit challenged. Women want to feel like they've discovered something special, not like something has been handed to them on a silver platter. That's why, when you understand how attraction really works, you can approach any woman with confidence, knowing that it's not about convincing her to like you, but about making her curious enough to want to find out more. One of the most powerful tools you can use when approaching a woman is indifference. Now, that doesn't mean acting like a jerk or pretending not to care at all. It's about having a mindset that communicates you're not desperate for her attention because you're already secure in who you are. When you approach with a sense of detachment, it throws women off in a way that makes them curious and intrigued. Most guys make the mistake of overinvesting right from the start, trying to make her laugh, giving too many compliments, or being overly eager to keep the conversation going. But when you come across as someone who's interested but not dependent on the outcome, it shifts the entire dynamic in your favor. Here's why indifference works so well. Women are used to being pursued. From a young age, they've been approached by guys trying to win them over with compliments and interest. So, when you come along and act like you're not fazed by her beauty or the possibility of rejection, it stands out. It's not what she's used to, and it makes her wonder why you're different. The trick is to balance showing some interest with an attitude that says, "I'm cool with whatever happens." This balance is what keeps her guessing. When she can't immediately tell if you're into her or just being friendly, it creates a bit of tension and makes her more invested in figuring you out. Indifference also demonstrates confidence, which is arguably the most attractive trait to women. When you act indifferent, you're sending a message that you have options and that you don't need her to feel good about yourself. Confidence in this context isn't about bragging or showing off. It's about being comfortable with yourself and not seeking validation. Women can sense when a guy is too eager for approval, and it's an instant turnoff. But when you seem like the kind of guy who could take it or leave it, it makes her want to earn your attention. It flips the script, making her wonder what makes you so self-assured. Another aspect of indifference is not reacting emotionally to her tests. Women often test men subconsciously to see how they'll respond. She might take a little longer to text back, mention other guys casually, or seem uninterested just to gauge your reaction. Most guys fall right into the trap. They double text, try to prove themselves, or become visibly frustrated. When you don't take the bait, it not only shows confidence, but also signals that you've got other things going on in your life. Women are attracted to men who have a mission, a sense of purpose that goes beyond just trying to get her attention. When she sees that you're not shaken by her tests, it sends a clear message that you're not desperate, and that makes her want you even more. Indifference is also about timing. For example, if you get her number, don't text her immediately. Give it some time, not to play games, but to show that you're not hanging by your phone waiting for her. When you do reach out, keep it straightforward and don't flood her with messages. Less is more. Let her wonder a bit. That space creates anticipation, which is a key element of attraction. The same applies in conversations. If she asks about your life, don't spill everything at once. Give her just enough to keep her interested, then shift the focus back to her. The goal is to be intriguing, not mysterious to the point of being frustrating, but just enough to make her want to dig deeper. Indifference also means not overreacting when things don't go your way. If she seems a little distant, don't panic or try to overcompensate. Keep your cool. Women notice how you handle setbacks, and if you can stay relaxed and unbothered, it makes you look even more attractive. The reality is, attraction isn't about making her see how great you are. It's about making her feel something. When she senses that you're not bending over backward for her approval, it makes her question why, and that curiosity is the spark that leads to attraction. The bottom line is, indifference isn't about pretending not to care. It's about actually having a mindset where you're okay no matter what happens. When you internalize that attitude, it becomes part of your energy, and women can sense it immediately. It's a confidence that comes from knowing your worth and not needing anyone else to validate it. And when you approach women with that mindset, it completely changes how they respond to you. Teasing and playful banter are like spices in a conversation. They add flavor, make things interesting, and keep a woman on her toes. But there's a fine line between playful teasing and coming across as mean or trying too hard. When done right, teasing creates a fun dynamic that makes a woman want to be around you more. The goal isn't to put her down or make her feel bad, but to show that you're confident enough to joke around without fearing her reaction. Women are naturally drawn to guys who can make them laugh, especially when that humor comes from a place of confidence. The secret to effective teasing is to keep it light and not take yourself too seriously. For example, if she mentions she's bad at something, you can playfully exaggerate it. Say she admits she can't cook. You could respond with something like, "Good to know, I'll make sure to have emergency pizza on speed dial." It's not about what you say, but how you say it. Your tone should be playful and your body language relaxed. Smiling while you tease shows that you're just joking, making her feel comfortable and more inclined to play along. This back and forth dynamic creates a flirtatious vibe, making the conversation feel less like an interview and more like a game. Teasing also shows that you're not intimidated by her beauty or her status. Most guys are so focused on saying the right things that they come off as too formal or stiff. When you're willing to tease her, it sends a message that you see her as an equal. not someone you have to impress. This subtle confidence shift can make a massive difference in how she sees you. It suggests that you're the kind of guy who's comfortable with himself, which is way more attractive than someone who's constantly trying to win her approval. A big part of teasing is the push-pull technique, showing interest one moment and pulling back the next. For instance, if she says something cute, you can respond with, "Wow, I didn't expect you to actually be interesting," followed by a grin or a laugh. This mix of giving and taking keeps her guessing and engaged in the conversation. When you switch between showing interest and playfully pulling back, it creates a tension that makes her want to prove herself to you. It's the same reason why people keep playing games. They want to win. In this case, her goal becomes getting your full attention, even if she doesn't realize it consciously. Playful banter also helps in building an emotional connection quickly. Most conversations are boring because they follow the same patterns. Where are you from? What do you do? Blah, blah, blah. When you add humor and a bit of edge to your conversations, it stands out. It makes her feel something beyond the usual small talk, and emotions, especially positive ones, are what people remember most about an interaction. Even if she doesn't recall every detail of what you said, she'll remember how much fun she had talking to you. This emotional imprint is what makes her want to see you again. However, there's a right way and a wrong way to do this. The wrong way is to make jokes at her expense or hit sensitive topics that could come off as mean-spirited. The right way is to tease about things that are clearly not deal breakers or anything she's self-conscious about. For instance, making fun of her choice in music or how seriously she takes her coffee is usually safe ground. The key is to be observant and pick up on things she seems comfortable joking about herself. When she sees that you can pick up on these details, it also shows that you're paying attention, something most guys overlook. Teasing also works because it taps into a basic psychological principle. People want what they can't easily have. When you're willing to challenge her a bit instead of constantly agreeing with everything she says, it makes her feel like your interest is something to be earned. Most guys try so hard to be liked that they forget women actually enjoy a bit of a challenge. By keeping things playful and not always giving straightforward answers, you become that challenge. And once she's engaged in trying to win you over, that's when real attraction starts to build. The bottom line is, if you can master the art of teasing and playful banter, you'll stand out from 99% of guys who approach women with the same old, boring lines. It's not about memorizing jokes or trying to be a comedian. It's about showing you're confident enough to have fun with the interaction. When you can make a woman laugh and keep her guessing, she'll not only be attracted to you, but also curious about what makes you so different from the rest. And that curiosity is what keeps her coming back for more. One of the biggest mistakes guys make when talking to women is laying all their cards on the table too soon. When you reveal everything about yourself right away, there's no mystery left, no reason for her to keep thinking about you after the conversation ends. Attraction isn't just about what you say or do, it's about what you leave unsaid, the little gaps in the story that make her curious to learn more. This is where the power of emotional intrigue comes in. By being a bit unpredictable and not giving everything away, you create an emotional puzzle that she'll want to solve. To build this kind of intrigue, you have to balance being open with holding back just enough to keep her guessing. For example, if she asks about your past relationships, you don't need to go into full detail. You might say something like, "I've definitely learned what I want and don't want in a relationship," and leave it at that. This kind of answer hints that there's a story there without actually telling it, making her more interested. It's like showing someone the cover of a book without letting them read the pages. They're naturally going to want to know what's inside. Another powerful way to create intrigue is by sharing experiences rather than just facts. Anyone can list off their job title, hobbies, or where they grew up, but when you tell a story about a crazy road trip or how you handled a tough situation, it brings those facts to life and makes them memorable. The key is to share just enough to make her feel like she's getting a glimpse into your world without fully letting her in. This makes her want to spend more time with you to uncover the rest. However, it's not just about keeping things mysterious, it's also about making her feel something. People don't remember words, they remember how those words made them feel. If you can create moments in the conversation that make her laugh, feel surprised, or even challenge her a bit, those emotions will stick with her. Emotional contrast is key here. When you can switch smoothly from joking around to a more serious or thoughtful moment, it keeps her emotionally engaged. It's this push and pull of different emotions that makes a conversation memorable. A big part of this is knowing when to end the conversation. Leaving at the peak of interest is one of the most effective ways to make her think about you afterward. If things are going well and you end the interaction on a high note, she's going to be left wanting more. Most guys drag things out until the conversation fizzles, leaving a forgettable impression. But when you cut things short just as they're getting interesting, maybe by saying you have to get going, but would love to continue the conversation later, you create a cliffhanger effect. It's human nature to want to finish what we've started, and by ending things on a high point, you give her a reason to reach out or say yes the next time you ask to hang out. Another powerful technique to build intrigue is what's often called future pacing. This involves subtly planting the idea of spending time together again without directly asking for it. For example, if you're talking about a movie she likes, you could casually say, "Oh, you haven't seen that one yet? You're missing out. We might have to fix that sometime." It's not a direct invitation, but it puts the idea in her head. Future pacing makes her start to visualize spending time with you again, which creates anticipation and keeps you on her mind. Timing is everything when it comes to intrigue. If you text back too quickly or always seem available, it kills the sense of mystery. On the other hand, if you take a bit longer to respond or sometimes let her double text, it creates a sense of uncertainty that keeps her guessing. This doesn't mean you should play games or be manipulative. It's more about showing that you have your own life and aren't waiting around. When she senses that you're not desperately seeking her attention, it actually makes her want your attention even more. Also, make sure that when you do text or call, your messages have substance. A boring "hey" doesn't create intrigue. Sharing something interesting you did or a funny story that happened to you does. Aim for texts that make her smile, laugh, or wonder about what you're up to. The goal is to make every interaction meaningful, even if it's just a quick message. This way, whenever she sees your name pop up on her phone, she feels a little spark of excitement, wondering what you're going to say this time. One of the best ways to leave her wanting more is to create shared experiences, even if they're small. Inside jokes, little challenges, or things that only the two of you understand build a sense of connection that lingers. For instance, if you both laugh about something silly that happened during your conversation, you can bring it up again later to make her smile. These small, shared moments make her feel like she's part of something unique with you, which keeps her thinking about you long after the conversation ends. At the core of intrigue is the idea of being a bit unpredictable. If she always knows exactly what you're going to say or do next, things get boring fast. But when you're a bit harder to pin down, sometimes teasing, sometimes thoughtful, sometimes busy, it keeps her emotionally invested. This kind of unpredictability makes every interaction feel fresh and exciting. The more she can't quite figure you out, the more she'll want to. And that's the kind of intrigue that keeps a woman not just attracted, but hooked. Silence is one of the most powerful tools you have when it comes to making a woman think about you non-stop. Most guys underestimate the impact of saying less, but when used correctly, silence can create an irresistible sense of mystery and anticipation. When you don't immediately respond to texts, don't always initiate conversations, or even take a step back for a few days, it leaves her wondering what you're doing and why you're not chasing her. This psychological space creates a vacuum that makes her start to fill in the blanks, usually in ways that make you seem even more intriguing. The key to using silence effectively is intention. If you go silent out of frustration or because you're sulking, she'll sense it and lose interest. But if your silence is strategic, like waiting a bit to text back because you're genuinely busy or not always being the first to reach out, it signals that you're a man who values his own time and isn't desperate for her attention. This balance between being attentive and pulling back makes her question her position with you, which is exactly what you want. Uncertainty is a powerful motivator in attraction. One of the most effective ways to leverage silence is through what's known as the pattern interrupt. If you've been consistently engaging and suddenly become less available, it jolts her out of her comfort zone. For example, if you usually text her every day but then go quiet for a day or two, she'll start to wonder if she did something wrong or if you're losing interest. This break in the pattern makes her anxious for your attention again, causing her to reach out first or think about you more often. It's not about playing games. It's about reminding her that your attention is something she has to earn. However, silence alone isn't enough. It needs to be combined with moments of genuine connection and interest. If you're completely aloof all the time, she'll eventually give up and move on. The trick is to create a push-pull dynamic, engaging conversations followed by short bursts of silence. This keeps her guessing about where she stands with you, making her want to close the gap. Think of it like a dance. If you're always stepping forward, there's no tension, but when you step back just enough, it pulls her in. Silence also amplifies the power of your words when you do speak. When you're not constantly texting or explaining yourself, every message or conversation carries more weight. This is why less is often more. Short, confident responses can spark more interest than long-winded explanations. For instance, if she asks what you're doing and you reply with a simple, handling a few things, what about you? It shows you're busy and have a life of your own. Contrast this with an over-eager explanation of everything you've been up to, and you'll see why the former is more attractive. Another advanced technique is the silent acknowledgement. This is when you let a message sit for a bit without responding immediately, even if you've seen it. It creates a subtle tension because she knows you got the message, but doesn't know why you haven't replied yet. The key here is to eventually respond, but on your own time. This kind of controlled silence shows you're not jumping at every opportunity to talk to her, which makes her more eager to hear from you. Strategic absence is another powerful move. This isn't about disappearing completely, but taking a step back just enough to make her miss your presence. If you're always available, she'll start to take your attention for granted. But if you occasionally skip a social event she's at or go a day without reaching out, it creates a contrast that makes her appreciate your presence more. The trick is to return with the same confidence and energy as before. This way, it feels like a choice rather than you being unsure of yourself. Even in person, silence can be a game changer. Most guys rush to fill every pause in the conversation, but a bit of silence can actually create tension and intrigue. For example, if she asks a challenging question, take a moment to think before responding. This not only makes you seem more thoughtful and confident, but also makes her more invested in what you are about to say. In psychology, this is known as the power of the pause. It builds anticipation and makes your words carry more impact. However, silence must be balanced with genuine interest and attentiveness when you do engage. If you go silent and then come back distracted or half-hearted, it breaks the illusion. Make sure that when you do reinitiate contact, you're fully present. Ask her about things she mentioned before, share something interesting that happened to you, or use a callback to a previous conversation. This way, your silence comes across as a sign of independence rather than disinterest. In the end, silence and strategic absence are about controlling the tempo of the interaction. When you're the one setting the pace, she's the one who has to adjust to you, and that shift in dynamic is what makes her think about you constantly. The more you can master this balance, the more she'll find herself checking her phone, wondering what you're up to, and replaying your conversations in her mind. That's the true power of silence in attraction. So, if you're ready to master the art of making her think about you non-stop, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss out on the secrets to becoming truly irresistible. And if you want to dive even deeper into the psychology of attraction, check out the next video. It's packed with insights you won't want to miss. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you there.